there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making this adorable Christmas card. It's project number 2 in my Christmas Gleaming class to go. Check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com to see what current class to go kit I'm offering. Now if you don't have the kit, don't worry, I'll give the dimensions as we go along so that you can make this adorable Christmas card along with us. We'll be using the Christmas Gleaming stamps and the Gleaming ornament punches. And these can be found on page 31 of our holiday catalog, and they're sold as a bundle so that you can save 10%. I'll also be using the Greatest Part of Christmas stamps, and this is a host stamp set which you cannot purchase. You can only get it with host rewards. So if you're interested in getting this Greatest Part of Christmas stamp set, please email me at carolbcrafts@hotmail.com and I'll give you the details on how you can have a stamp set like this of your own. Now I'll be using those host stamps for my inside sentiment, but if you have other stamps that you want to use for your inside sentiment, that will be fine as well. Now to make our card, we're going to be using our new Celestial Copper Delicata ink. For adhesives, you'll want your snail, your mini glue dots, and your multi-purpose glue. You also want your 4x6 window sheet that I include in your first class to go kit from me, so hold on to that. You'll use it in future class to go kits. And you'll need a little piece of scrap paper as well. You'll want your bone folder, and I'm using my take your pick tool, but you could use any pointy tool that you have. So we won't be needing a die cut machine because everything is pre-cut for you except for this ornament that you'll die cut, that you'll punch with your punch from the bundle. So let me clear all this away and we'll get started. So as you know, I like to get started with the stamping, so we'll bring our kit in here. This is what's in your kit. Some of these things we won't need right away. What we're going to be stamping on will be the very vanilla panel that's for the inside, and then we have a very vanilla panel that is going to be for our ornament, and then we have these two little labels that we'll be stamping on. You only need one, but I give you two, so you'll have an extra one. Now these labels are from the rectangle stitched framelits dies, and it is the smallest of the long rectangle die, this one right here in the center. So we'll start by stamping. Let's go ahead and stamp our ornament, and I have a 4 1/4 by 2 3/4 piece of very vanilla. We'll grab our stamp. It's this one, the really decorative larger one. And if you remember, if you're right-handed, you want to put your ornament upside down on the left side of the paper. If you're left-handed, you want to put it right side up like this. So upside down if you're right-handed, right side up if you're left-handed. So before we stamp it, I want to make sure that you keep your cardstock in place, because what will happen is when you lift up, your cardstock will move. So be sure that you have it firmly in place. I'm using 2 of my magnets, and I'm going to ink that up really good. I'm going to squish and dot, squish and pat, squish and pat. The squishing puts ink on it and the patting evens the ink out. So this is pigment ink, so it's a little different than our regular ink. So we have to treat it a little differently. So I'm going to bring that up gently. So that's one good image, but I want another image. I usually do this 2 or 3 times before I'm happy with my image. So that's number 2. Gently bring it up. That's much better, but not perfect yet. So we want that gold, that's copper, to shine through They also have a Delicata Gold and Silver if you like this ink. And they have refills too that you can purchase to go with it. And will that be enough? Well, I think I'm going to do it just one more time, just because I can, and because I really want that shimmer. Okay, that should be good. All right, that's perfect. Well, we're going to let that dry before we try to stamp it, because this ink takes a little bit longer to dry, but you can see that beautiful sheen there that we're going to have. So we'll let that dry. I'll clean off this stamp. Now for the front sentiment, I want the Merry Christmas stamp. That's this one right here. And we're going to put that on one of those labels that I die cut for you. This is where we'll need our scratch paper and our window sheet. We'll go ahead and put this on our scratch paper. So on the back, I'm just going to put a couple of tiny little pieces of adhesive to hold it down flat. That will let me slide that under the window sheet. Then I'm going to put my window sheet in the top right corner and hope that it stays put, because it needs to stay put. Make sure that everything stamps where I want it to stamp. So I'll put my stamp down here at the bottom, and I'm going to make sure this is, because that will move. Get my beautiful Celestial Copper ink. Squish that. Squish, pat. Squish, pat. Okay. It doesn't really have to be that perfect for the image here that we're going to make. Just lets me know where it's going to stamp. Now, keeping that plastic in place, I'm going to slide this underneath. The image will look much better on the cardstock, I promise. So just going to center that on your label. When you have it where you want it, be sure to keep it still. Remove your plastic. I'm going to put that down to hold that in place. And I'm going to ink up, squish, pat, squish, pat, squish, pat. And here we go with our Celestial Copper. Gently up. Now remember that I give you 2 of these in case you need one. So in this one corner here, it's looking like it's not taking the ink very well. So I'm going to kind of give it a little extra attention with my ink pad and see if I can't get a better image there. Okay, that's done. Now we're going to go to, and this has to dry, so be careful not to touch it. So we'll clean that off and we'll do our inside sentiment. And you'll want to clean off your plastic as well. And then I'm going to dry it really well with the microfiber cloth, because I'm going to reuse this for my sentiment on the inside. And from my greatest part of Christmas, or whatever sentiment you want to use for the inside, I'm going to use Thinking of You at Christmas Time. And this is it right here. Bring my plastic in and put this here down at the bottom. Pick that up. We'll be using our Celestial Copper ink for this. Squish, pat, pat, squish, pat, pat. Alright, so this is a piece of Very Vanilla. It is 3.5 by 4 3/4. We'll make our first impression. Then we'll slide this underneath so that we can position it. When we're happy with it, we're going to put our magnets in place and remove our plastic. Ink our stamp up again, and then make our image. And I do want to do that again. And I think that's good. Sometimes the shimmer makes it look like it's not as good an image as it is, but it's just the shimmer. Once it dries, it'll be fine. So we'll let that dry and we'll clean off our stamp because we're done with our stamping. So I think our ornament is dry enough that we can punch it. So just push that little button forward and it should pop open for you. And slide that in. And this is, now you can see why I had you stamp it upside down, so that when you punch it, you have something to hold on to with your left hand. And then if you had to make another one, there's plenty of room that you could have done another one if you needed to. So that's going to go on the front of our card. I'll bring in the rest of our items. We have a thick very vanilla card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We will crease that fold with our bone folder. And that's ready. Now we don't have any ribbon with this, so we don't need to worry about any ribbon. We'll go ahead and build our card. There's our sample. We have Night of Navy, beautiful Night of Navy with this copper is gorgeous. We have 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That's our base. Then we're going to have a piece of copper, the copper metallic paper, 3 3/4 by 5. That's going to go on top of there. And then we have another piece of, we have a DSP piece of the DSP. That's 3.5 by 4 3/4. It's going to go there. And this is the Brightly Gleaming DSP. It's also on page 31 in the holiday catalog. For the inside, we have 3 3/4 by 5. It's going to go our inside sentiment. And then on the front, beneath our ornament, we have another rectangle, stitch rectangle, die cut. It's the 5th largest rectangle. And this is the regular rectangle, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just count 5 down from the largest. If you want to make more of these, or if you're just watching, that's going to go there. Then we have our ornament, which will go here. We'll grab our front sentiment. It's going to go underneath there. And then we have these two little like copper sprigs that I have die cut with the copper metallic paper. And these have backing. These don't have backing on them because we're just going to use glue dots for them. So that'll make it easier to put on. So let's go ahead and build our front, except for our decorative pieces. This is going to go on the front. Well, I think I'd rather put this on first, and I'm going to put this on some snail. And this is going to go on the front here, kind of, I guess just centered on the front. You can use glue or snail, whichever you feel more comfortable with. I guess I probably should have used my glue. I may regret it, but let's see. I'll just lay it down lightly to make sure before I press it down. And that looks good enough. So now we're going to do this. We'll go ahead and get this here. This is going to go across the bottom, and you want a little more than 1/8 of an inch across the bottom. I think I might use glue for this, just a few drops of glue, because I do want to be able to move it if I have to. Smaller pieces are kind of hard to always get where you want them. So like I said, just a tiny bit more than 1/8 of an inch. Don't rub across that because it might still be wet. which I just did, but luckily it didn't smear. Okay, and then our little twiggies we're going to put on with glue dots on the back. Up at the top here, you're going to put a couple of glue dots, and then you'll bring your twigs in and kind of just put them behind. However, those glue dots are so sticky, aren't they? And we'll put this one behind there. Now we have that. Now we'll just put some more glue dots on this, and then we'll stick it to our front. Put another one here. It's going to go in the center, just like that. Make sure it's even. Even these out a little bit. Okay, I'll press that down, and we're almost done with our card. This is going to go on the front of our card, but let's see. Let's do the inside first. We'll take our sentiment panel, put that on our Night of Navy. And now we'll put the front panel on. Now all we have left to do are our little, and this is a large and 2 medium basic rhinestone jewels, which I've colored with the bullet point. That's this point right here, the harder point of my dark Night of Navy Stampin' Blend marker. It takes the color really well, and it dries really fast. I'm just going to put that. You can put it there or you can put it here. Originally I put it there, but I think I like it better here. So that's where I'm going to put it now. You can put it wherever you want. And then one on each side of your sentiment, of the medium ones. And our card is finished. All right, well, thanks for joining me for project number 2 in my Christmas Gleaming class to go. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current class kit I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.